What's up, everyone, and welcome to Iconic Insights episode number 2. This is a show where I take short clips from longer form interviews that I've done with some of the industry's most iconic engineers, producers, and audio brands. And when I find something really interesting that I want to discuss in a bit more detail, we do it here. This episode is all about clipping, and I have as a guest on this episode, Ryan Schwabe, who is the founder of Schwabe Digital and the creator of the iconic plugins Gold Clip, Orange Clip, and more plugins to come from him. In this episode, I asked Ryan the question of, what do you think are some of the biggest mistakes people make when they use clippers? Here's what he had to say. What do you think are some of the pitfalls that people get into with clipping? You know, what are some of the mistakes that people make when they maybe start foraying into using clippers in their process for mixing and for mastering?
Doing too much of it. Or like when they're comparing clippers, they'll they're like, well, if I do 10 dB of clipping on each one and I decide which one sounds better, then that one's better. And it's like, well, that's not how you actually use it. Like if you use it at doing 1 dB of clipping, which then you actually have to be really attentive to the psychoacoustic differences or to the dynamic changes, you know, what sounds better at that level. But I mean, I would say over clipping and kind of too much of clipping, right? Just so you don't need to clip every track. It's really just stuff with erroneous transients. So that's going to be kicks and snares and percussion instruments.
Short audio events. You don't want to be digging into the RMS of everything with a clipper.
And so I guess clippers get a bad name because A, there's so many of them, and B, people just think that they're just make music sound bad, and they can make music sound bad if you're hyping the hell out of the music with clippers, right? It's going to sound distorted and ugly and smeary, and it's not ideal. So, I mean, generally people, I feel like they just do way too much of it. And like me, when I'm mastering a record, I use almost 0 dB of clipping 90% of the time, right? I'm just using it to maybe clip off a half a dB, 0.2 of a dB, 0.3 of a dB. And then I'm using the gold processing. To me, that's really the magic of Gold Clip, is that particular processing. And I'm using it with Unity on so that it's pushing down the peaks. And so it's just creating more headroom for my limiter to have to work less. But yeah, I mean, I think with everything in life, it's just people doing too much of it. Whenever I get a new plugin, I use it too much, right? And so to me, people think clipping is the be all end all of making things loud. And it's best to use it in subtlety. That would be it. What about you?
I would definitely echo you in saying too much, using it on too many things. There are some things that just don't clip well. And then there are some people that are just so into clipping that it's like a religion for them. Not only do they think sometimes that everything needs to be clipped, but there's been some recommendations that people choose sounds to use in production based on how much clipping they can take. And I'm like, that's stepping on the art, man. That's loudness for loudness's sake. And it's not just about pushing everything into clippers all day long and seeing how loud you can make it.
Interesting.
There's art underlying, underpinning things.
I have not heard that one. That's interesting. Yeah, I mean, everything that I do, I work in subtlety, I try to make things really transparent, and I try to hide and do kind of work that is more sensed than overt. And that comes probably from doing mostly mastering work. And so in my mixing work, I'm going to clip a few things, but for the most part, I'm going to a lot of sounds are already clipped to begin with, drums and stuff from libraries. A lot of that stuff's already snapped out.
So that is a really important point that he's made. Assess the source sounds that you're using. If you're using sounds that have been mastered because they're in a sample pack, most of those sounds these days have been run through clipping or fast limiting. And so, like he said, they're already pinned. And if you run a sound like that through a clipper again in your production or your mixing process, it's just going to sound horrible. And your drums, when there's this sweet spot with clipping where it can add perceived loudness as you begin to clip the front part, the micro transient of the drum. But then as soon as you start digging in to kind of the body of the transient, 10 milliseconds, 25 milliseconds, that attack portion of the drum, if you start clipping that down, then it can actually make your drums sound small and weak and thin. And in particular, it takes away all of their front end and all of their punch. I've done an incredible amount of A/Bing to figure out the right amount of clipping. Like I said before, it depends entirely on the source sound. If you have a sound that's an acoustic drum sound directly out of Addictive Drums 2, for example, you might be able to clip that a lot because it hasn't been over-processed. Versus if you take a drum out of a sample pack, then you try and clip that, it might make it sound lifeless and horrible with 2 dB of clipping. right? You have to be able to use your ear and assess the right amount of clipping. And in particular, when you're using clippers, really pay attention. Normalize their loudnesses, the before and the after, and listen to the front end of that drum, if you're clipping a drum, and assess it for how big does it feel, how much punch does it have, and has the clipper actually taken away from that, or has the clipper at least preserved what was there in the first place while allowing you to get a little bit of extra headroom?
So, yeah, I just try to keep things subtle.
Yeah, exactly. I find when I'm getting a summing point, I'm looking for those little stray peaks that are just like, you figure out where's your average peak level, and then these little micro transients that are exceeding the average peak level. I look for those, and they might happen every bar, every 8 bars. And in some cases, what I've been doing once I export the mix is, instead of even using a clipper on the master, or before I use a clipper on the master, I'm loading it up in Isotope RX audio editor, and I'm doing manual limiting. And so I'm going through and I'm using the waveform statistics function to find where the sample peaks are. I'm looking at it, and if they're like 2, 3, 4 samples, I just highlight them and use negative 2 dB gain or whatever it needs and push them down. It maintains the waveform, and there's zero distortion from that. I think maybe Bob Katz talked about that. I learned this more from Nicholas DiLorenzo. Actually, he has some good videos on RX and how he does that to prep for mastering sessions. And similar to a limiter with a little tiny bit of look ahead, it's able to grab that peak in the waveform. And then you can choose between left and right. So you can choose to just rein in one channel if that's what the channel that's going over, like similar to 0% stereo interlinking and things like that. So
interesting.
Yeah, I only started using RX for stuff like that maybe like a year ago or so, but I've been liking it. Again, I only fuss with that stuff for really, really loud stuff.
Yeah. I never have trouble getting things loud. I think the one thing I do use RX for is like manual de-essing. So I'll like go through, if a record is like particularly SC, I'll load it into there and go through and section by section de-ess. That's one thing that I think is like a really good use for RX, but I haven't done any like dynamic processing in there. I'll have to check it out.
The last thing Ryan said there was that he doesn't really have a problem getting things loud. And if you are feeling like you need a ton of clipping on all your sounds to get things loud enough, then maybe that's indicating that there are other issues in the production process. Maybe it's something else that is preventing you from getting your song to sound loud and clean without having to ram everything into a whole bunch of clippers. Right on. I hope you enjoyed this episode with Ryan Schwabe. He is a double Grammy nominated multi-platinum engineer, and as one of the creators of some of these infamous clippers, it's awesome to hear his perspective on some of the overuses and some of the best use cases of clippers, and particularly how he uses them in his workflow. This is a series, so make sure you check out other episodes in the Iconic Insights series, as well as the long-form interviews with Ryan and other engineers on the Industry Icons series. Thanks for watching. Give me a like, drop me a comment if you want to let me know what you thought about the show, and I will catch you on the next one. Take care.